You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Don't struggle to align your organization's cybersecurity with business risk. Get the only solution that goes beyond reacting to threats with vulnerability and risk monitoring. You need the next evolution of MDR, and only Critical Start delivers it. Critical Start doesn't just monitor and respond to threats. They put you in control by detecting suspicious activities, quickly responding to contain threats, and identifying your most critical assets and protecting them against vulnerabilities and exposures. With continuous visibility, expert guidance, and measurable risk reduction, Critical Start has redefined what it means to manage cyber risk. Demonstrate provable security maturity to your leadership while positioning your program to achieve the greatest risk reduction per dollar spent. Stop fearing risk and start managing it with Critical Start. Visit criticalstart.com and request a demo today. That's criticalstart.com. OpenAI insiders describe a culture of recklessness and secrecy. Concerns over Uganda's biometric ID system. Sophos uncovers a Chinese cyber espionage operation called Crimson Palace. Poland aims to shore up cyber defenses against Russia. Zyzel warns of critical vulnerabilities in a legacy NAS product. Arctic Wolf tracks an amateurish ransomware variant named Fog. A TikTok zero-day targets high-profile accounts. Cisco patches a WebEx vulnerability that exposed German government meetings. On our Learning Layers segment, hosts Sam Meisenberg and Joe Kerrigan continue their discussion of Joe's ISC2 CISSP certification journey, diving into Domain 7 security operations. And a Canadian data breach leads to a class action payday. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thank you for joining us here today. It is great to have you with us. A group of OpenAI insiders, including 9 current and former employees, is exposing what they describe as a culture of recklessness and secrecy at the company, the New York Times reports. The insiders claim OpenAI prioritizes profits over safety in its race to develop artificial general intelligence, or AGI. The insiders accuse the company of using restrictive non-disparagement agreements to silence concerns. Former researcher Daniel Kokotailo, a leading whistleblower, criticized OpenAI for its aggressive pursuit of AGI without sufficient safety measures. The group recently published an open letter calling for greater transparency and protections for whistleblowers and AI companies. They demand an end to restrictive agreements and advocate for a culture that allows open criticism and anonymous reporting of safety issues. OpenAI is also dealing with several controversies, including legal battles over copyright infringement and backlash from its recent voice assistant launch. The company has faced internal turmoil, including the departure of senior AI researchers Ilya Sutskever and Jan Leakey, who left due to concerns over safety being neglected in favor of rapid development. OpenAI has responded, claiming a commitment to safety and transparency and announcing new safety initiatives. The whistleblowers, however, remain skeptical and are urging regulatory oversight to ensure responsible development of powerful AI systems. Bloomberg reports on Uganda's biometric identification system. Introduced to enhance security, it's become a powerful tool for state surveillance, targeting critics and opposition. The system collects citizens' biometric data, including faces, fingerprints, and irises, and is tied to various essential services, allowing extensive monitoring. In December 2020, human rights lawyer Nick Opio was detained by armed security forces. Accused of money laundering, Opio believes his arrest was due to his work at the nonprofit Chapter 4, documenting extrajudicial killings by state security forces before the 2021 elections. His possessions were confiscated, and he was interrogated for days before being released. The charges were dropped 9 months later. Opio's case highlights the misuse of the biometric system for political repression. Despite international criticism, President Museveni continues to leverage this system to consolidate power. As Uganda prepares for the 2026 elections, the government plans to roll out a new ID system, further entrenching surveillance capabilities. Opio remains committed to advocating for human rights amidst increasing authoritarianism. A prolonged cyber espionage campaign has targeted a government agency in a country clashing with China over the South China Sea. Researchers at Sophos uncovered the operation, dubbed Crimson Palace, attributing it to Chinese state-sponsored hacking clusters. The attackers targeted documents with intelligence value, including military strategies. Sophos does not name the targeted nation in their research. Sophos identified 3 hacking clusters, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, each showing coordinated activity. Cluster Alpha linked to backdoor diplomacy and TA-428, while Cluster Charlie connected to Earth Longi, ABT-41. Cluster Bravo used a new backdoor, C-Core door. The campaign utilized DLL sideloading and other evasive techniques. Despite blocking known implants, Cluster Charlie resumed hacking with greater intensity. The activity corresponded to Chinese working hours, reinforcing the attribution to Chinese state interests. Elsewhere in the region, Palau is a small island country located in the western Pacific Ocean, part of the larger island group of Micronesia, and one of Taiwan's few diplomatic allies. Earlier today, Palau's president, Surangel Whips, accused China of a major cyber attack on the country. Over 20,000 government documents were stolen in March, shortly after Palau signed a 20-year economic and security deal with the U.S. The documents appeared on the dark web, with the ransomware group Dragon Force claiming responsibility. Whips suggested the attack had ties to China, as there was no financial motive, branding it harassment and a bid to weaken Palau's international relationships. Taiwan, Japan, and the U.S. have offered to help strengthen Palau's digital defenses. This incident highlights ongoing tensions, with China denying involvement and condemning cyber attacks. Poland will invest nearly $760 million to bolster its defenses against ongoing Russian cyber attacks, according to Digital Minister Krzysztof Gokowski. The new Cyber Shield program aims to enhance the resilience of critical infrastructure and government services. This follows a false article about military mobilization published by hackers on Poland's state news agency, PAP, which is believed to be the work of Russian-sponsored hackers. Gokowski highlighted the increase in cyber attacks, particularly ahead of the upcoming EU parliamentary elections, and emphasized Russia's goal to destabilize Poland and the EU. The recent cyber incidents include espionage campaigns targeting Polish government institutions attributed to Russian hacker group APT-28. Network device manufacturer Zyxel has warned of 3 critical vulnerabilities in discontinued NAS products NAS 326 and NAS 542, which can lead to command injection and arbitrary code execution. These flaws can be exploited without authentication. Despite discontinuation in December of last year, Zyxel released patches for extended support customers. The vulnerabilities were reported by Outpost 24's Timothy Hjort, who highlighted that successful exploitation could allow attackers persistent root access and code execution on the devices. Arctic Wolf's incident response team identified a new ransomware variant named FOG, targeting the education and recreation sectors in the U.S. The ransomware uses compromised VPN credentials for infection, gaining remote access through unidentified VPN gateway vendors. The attack initializes by querying system details to configure a multi-threaded encryption routine utilizing Windows APIs for encryption. After encrypting files, a ransom note is left on the disk. Fogg's methods are considered amateurish, focusing on quick paydays without deep system infiltration or data exfiltration. Arctic Wolf has shared indicators of compromise and incorporated targeted detection capabilities within its managed detection and response services to mitigate these attacks. The identity of the threat actors remains unknown. Threat actors have exploited a zero-day vulnerability in TikTok's direct messages feature to hijack high-profile accounts, including those of CNN, Paris Hilton, and Sony. The malware spreads by simply opening a direct message within the app. TikTok spokesperson Alex Horek stated that their security team has stopped the attack and is working with affected users to restore access. The extent of the impact remains unclear, and no technical details about the vulnerability were disclosed. Cisco released a security advisory after media reports that vulnerabilities in the German government's WebEx meetings exposed sensitive information. German publication Zeit Online reported that an insecure direct object reference vulnerability allowed adversaries to access internal meeting links by altering link numbers. This exposed details of sensitive meetings, including military discussions. High-ranking officials' personal meeting rooms were also unprotected. In response, the German government blocked access and took WebEx offline. Cisco patched the vulnerabilities by May 28th and has not observed further unauthorized attempts since. Coming up after the break on our Learning Layer segment, Sam Meisenberg and Joe Kerrigan continue their discussion of Joe's CISSP certification journey. Stay with us. And now, a word from our sponsor, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Cyber attackers are using AI in creative ways to compromise users and breach organizations. In a security landscape where you must fight AI with AI, the best AI protection comes from having the best data. Zscaler has extended its zero-trust architecture with powerful AI engines that are trained and tuned by 500 trillion daily signals. Learn more about Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI to prevent ransomware and AI attacks. Experience your world secured. Visit zscaler.com/zerotrustai. Are lengthy security reviews pulling attention away from your security program? With the largest network of trust centers, Vanta can help you streamline security reviews to win customer trust, save time, and close deals fast. Proactively demonstrate security by showcasing key resources like your SOC 2 or ISO 27001 and provide real-time evidence for passing controls. And when a security questionnaire is required, Vanta takes the first pass for you. Visit vanta.com/cyber to take a self-serve tour. That's vanta.com/cyber. On today's Learning Layer segment, our host Sam Meisenberg is joined once again by my Hacking Humans co-host Joe Kerrigan. They continue their discussion of Joe's ISC2 CISSP certification journey, this time diving into Domain 7 security operations.
Welcome back to another Learning Layer segment. Today, we are continuing our conversation with Joe Kerrigan as he gets ready for his CISSP. Joe.
Yes.
I heard you weren't feeling well.
I was not.
Okay, so did you get some studying in?
I did. I got most of the way through Domain 7.
Do you think it was the content in Domain 7 that made you sick?
No, it was some virus that some kid brought into my house.
I see. Was the virus a cybersecurity joke, or are we talking about like a real virus?
Could have been. I think it was a real virus. It may have been a bacteria, but probably a virus because of the way it contaged.
All right. Well, we're really gonna put the studying that you did do to the test, because we're gonna do a question together to retain your information of the themes of Domain 7. So why don't you do the usual thing, read the question for us, and tell me what you're thinking as you read it.
All right. So I'm going to read just the body of the question, not even looking at the answers. So which of the following is the most important goal of disaster recovery planning?
Okay.
I was going to read it as a disaster recovery plan, pretty much the same thing. So immediately, the strategy is try to guess at an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a disaster, the most important thing I'm going to think is probably something along the lines of business continuity, being able to continue, because the business continuity plan is what you put in place before disaster recovery. So it's a step right before that. But now we're in a more severe state than we are with the business continuity plan. We're now actually going to try to recover from the event and try to keep the business up and running.
To summarize or say this back to you, I like to think of like a business continuity as a concept, as like the umbrella term, and disaster recovery is part of that overall strategy. And like you said, again, as ISC squared CSSPs, we have to think like managers. We got to think like our boss's boss and senior executives. We want to make sure that the business survives. Security is there to enable the business. So that's why we're even like talking about these plans.
Right.
So it sounds like then, with all that in mind, what would you sort of predict or look for in an answer choice?
I would look for something along the lines of keeping the business up and running, or something that maybe contains the word business continuity.
Awesome. All right. What do we got for answer choices?
Answer number A, business continuity.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like, I was on the right track.
Well done.
Right away.
Okay.
Answer number 2, critical infrastructure restoration. Right away, I'm going to dismiss that. Or maybe I won't dismiss it, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
In disaster recovery, you're going to do that, but you may not do that right away.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of narrow.
Yeah.
It serves other purposes.
Right. The end goal is to be able to continue to operate. But then C comes up.
Okay.
And C, it's always C, right? C says human safety.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Right? And I have taken enough of the practice test to know that whenever you see human safety, that is always going to be the most important thing.
Yep.
So go back to the question. Which of the following is the most important? Most, all caps. I'm immediately. I don't even know that I need to read D, but D says regulatory compliance. So I don't need to read D. It's human safety. It's about making sure that nobody dies during the process or gets harmed. So I'm going to go with C.
And drum roll. C is the right answer.
Right.
Well done.
That's not a hard question.
And I like that. But, for somebody who maybe is looking at the content for the first time or isn't familiar with, like, I'll call it themes of ISC squared, that actually might be a hard question. But because it's so obvious, it's almost like a little trivial or silly, or it seems like detached from reality, like human safety, like where'd that come from? But as you said, the whole point of like the CSSP and ISC squared, what they're trying to do is get you to think in a certain way.
Right.
That's what their end goal is, right? For people who are going through this exam, and business, issues and human safety is literally one of the most important things,
right.
the most important thing. That's why in Domain 7 too, you'll get to content about like fail safe versus, fail secure.
Right.
Those are concepts that we talk about because it has to do with human safety.
Yeah. If you fail secure and you lock people inside a burning building, that's bad.
That is bad.
Right.
Violates C. So I like to say, as you did in real time, if you see human safety as an answer choice, it's probably right.
Right. Yep. So this reminds me of, if I can digress a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Please.
The last certification, actually license that I got, was a FAA Part 107 license, which is the remote pilot and command for unmanned aircraft,
Mhm.
UAVs. And in there, one of the questions they keep asking over and over again is, who is responsible for filing the flight plan? It's the remote piloting command. Who is responsible for filing a NOTAM, remote piloting command? This is the kind of same thing. And there are other safety questions in there.
Yeah.
But the big point that they want to drive home in those tests is who's the responsible person? And the answer always has to be, the guy taking the test.
I like that.
This is kind of a similar application there.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, Joe, we are in the home stretch. Next time we'll talk about Domain 8, which I know you have experience in, yet also that was one of the weaker ones in your diagnostic.
It was, and
Somehow.
there weren't a lot of questions on it.
Well, we're going to go find out why that's the case. We'll talk to you next week, and we are getting closer to exam day. I'm excited.
Absolutely, me too.
Thanks to Sam and Joe. And don't forget, we've got details on the course Joe is using to prepare for his CISP and today's sample question in our show notes. Every day, your IAM tech debt grows. Your multi-generational services struggle to work together. Building an identity fabric can fix this. It makes all your identity tooling stronger and allows you to connect any app to any service you want to use, with zero coding, zero maintenance, and zero app downtime. Strata's identity orchestration platform separates the identity logic from your applications, so you can optimize existing IAM tools and manage them in a single control plane. Now, every vendor, standard, and architecture work together. In short, building your identity fabric means you can secure your non-standard apps, keep your complex access policies, retire outdated IDPs, and modernize in record time. So build your fabric with Strata Identity and get rid of tech debt for good. Visit strata.io/cyberwire, share your identity priorities, and receive a pair of AirPods Pro. Offer valid for organizations over 5,000 employees. Connect today at strata.io/cyberwire.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
And finally, an unusually satisfying end to a protracted class action lawsuit. We've all been there. You get a letter in the mail telling you you're part of a class action suit against a company that's wronged you. Excited, you envision a massive payday. Will it be a new car, a dream vacation? Then, months later, another letter arrives. Congratulations, your settlement is a crisp $2.50. Not enough for a coffee, but just enough to remind you that, yes, you were wronged. Meanwhile, the lawyers, they're driving off into the sunset in their new convertibles, funded by your victory. This leads us to 79 unlucky customers of ICBC, the insurance corporation of British Columbia in Canada. A rogue employee, Candy Elaine Roumeau, sold their personal information to some not-so-nice folks. And by not nice, I mean gangsters. As a result, 13 homes were hit with arson and shootings. ICBC argued that a mere $500 per person would suffice as compensation. However, a British Columbia judge disagreed, awarding $15,000 each to the victims, emphasizing the gravity of the data breach. The court also ruled ICBC vicariously liable after multiple appeals. The court stressed the importance of protecting personal data, especially as large organizations collect and store vast amounts of it. Lawyers for the class action will receive 35% of the total damages, but it's nice to see that rare case where plaintiffs will walk away with a meaningful windfall. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karpf. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Hey listeners, we're always looking for ways to improve the N2K CyberWire network and maintain the intelligence-driven news experience that keeps you in the know on the latest developments in cybersecurity. We've launched our 2024 audience survey and would love for you to take a few minutes to share your feedback. And hey, there's even a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card if you complete the survey. Visit cyberwire.com/survey. That's cyberwire.com/survey and share your feedback now.